Every Monday at noon, our vigil for Alan Gross. Estamos aquí reunidos todos los lunes al mediodía por la causa de Alan Gross. I have a few words to say about a Cuban liberator. His name was Jose Marti. Then I'll finish with some quotes because we have some very special visitors here from Dallas. One from Dallas is Alan Gross's sister. Tenemos aquí presente la hermana de Alan Gross desde Dallas, Texas, Mrs. Bonnie Gross Rubenstein. Also here from Baltimore is a first cousin of Alan Gross, Glenda Chernoff. With that in mind, let me give a little background to these quotes. This was not written by me, but by Carlos Ripoll. Jose Marti was born in Havana in 1853. At 17, he was exiled to Spain for his opposition to colonial Spanish rule. There, he published a pamphlet, part of which will I read, exposing the horrors of political imprisonment in Cuba, which he himself had experienced. Upon graduating from the University of Zaragoza, he established himself in Mexico City, where he began his literary career. His objection to a regime installed by a military coup led him to depart for Guatemala, but government abuses forced him to abandon that country as well. In 1878, he returned to Cuba under a general amnesty, but he conspired against the Spanish authorities and again was banished. He fled in exile to Spain and came to the United States. After a year in New York, Jose Marti left for Venezuela, where he hoped to settle, but yet another dictatorship forced him to depart from Venezuela. Marti went back to New York, where he lived from 1881 to 1895. In that year, Jose Marti left to join the war for Cuban independence, which he had so painstakingly organized. Then he died in one of its first skirmishes. Jose Marti is considered one of the greatest writers of the Hispanic world. His significance for the American reader, however, stems from the universality and the timeliness of his thought. Marti devoted his life to ending colonial rule in Cuba and to preventing the island from falling under the control of any country, including the United States. His ideology is inimical to the principles of America. With those goals and with the conviction that the freedom of the Caribbean was crucial to Latin American security and to the balance of power in the world, he devoted his talents to the forging of a Cuban nation. Thus, the scope of his work was, as a revolutionary, a guide, and more importantly, a mentor. His vast experience and education enabled him to move comfortably in most diverse fields, which makes his teaching so rich, as I now shall read. Again, what motivates me to repeat his words are the presence of two women. Two women who know very well of Alan Gross's mother, who is now 91. These women, altogether, including his wife of more than 40 years, Judy Gross, should not have to suffer anymore. Jose Marti wrote these words in English. The campaigns of a people are only weak when in them is not enlisted the heart of a woman, but when a woman is shaken and helps, when a woman timid and quiet in her nature cheers and applauds, when a woman cultured and virtuous anoints a deed with the honey of her love, that deed is invincible. En idioma que me entiendan allá arriba, las campañas de los pueblos solo son débiles cuando en ella no se alista el corazón de mujer. Pero cuando la mujer entremece y ayuda, cuando la mujer tímida y quieta en su natural anima y aplaude, cuando la mujer culta y virtuosa unge la obra con la miel de su cariño, la obra es invencible. We are, of course, here, as we are every Monday, pleading for the liberty of Alan Gross, who is into his 4th year of imprisonment in a 15-year sentence. Jose Marti wrote, "Like bones to the human body, the axle to the wheel, the wing to the bird, and the air to the wing, so is liberty the essence of life." Como el hueso al cuerpo humano y el eje a una rueda y la ala a un pájaro y el aire a la ala, así es la libertad, la esencia de la vida. Cuanto sin ella se hace es imperfecto. Lastly, this is a very old building. It was built in 1925 when Conrado Machado, pardon me, cuando había un presidente Machado que era presidente, se construyó este edificio. When there was a president named Machado, this building was erected. They did a little pressure washing just a few months ago, and that's good. It's very welcome. We have high standards here in Washington, D.C. Now, perhaps we can get the lawn cut. You have grass here that's about a foot high. It's June, it's mid-June. If you can't do it, I'm willing to help. I have some men around the corner. I can bring them here. We're willing to help. We're willing to talk. We're willing to speak. We're willing to meet on a level field. He wrote, "I cultivate a white rose in July as in January for the sincere friend who gives me his hand frankly, and for the cruel person who tears out the heart with which I live. I cultivate neither nettles nor thorns. I cultivate a white rose." Como he dicho en inglés, aquí nos encontramos con un descuido de un jardín, donde aquí en los Estados Unidos, en esta capital, mantenemos estándares un poquito más altos. Si les hace falta una ayuda en cortar esta hierba, que ya tiene más de 1 pie de altura, en medio de junio, pues yo estoy dispuesto a ayudar. Y a la misma vez, extender una mano franca. Cultivo una rosa blanca en julio como en enero, para el amigo sincero que me da su mano franca, y para el cruel que me arranca el corazón con que vivo, cardo ni ortiga cultivo una rosa blanca. Thank you very much. I ask once for every year. Liberen Alan Gross. Liberen Alan Gross. Liberen Alan Gross. Liberen Alan Gross.
Liberen Alan Gross.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Ms. Churchoff, for being here.